Welcome to the Lane Shift, where things get freaky and geeky. Today's episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Wow, guys, season 2 already. Holy shit. It's been one crazy long ride, and we're still kicking off, we're still doing good. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Is new horror versus old horror is going to be today's topic. And I was going to do that last episode, but me and Matt kind of went on this cool horror conundrum, and it was still fun, it was really awesome. We didn't definitely stay on topic, but we kind of hit the money ball somewhere. However, today, since it's just me by myself, we're going to be talking about this. So, to those who didn't listen to last episode, we were talking, I kind of outed myself of where I was in the horror era of growing up, about my age. I kind of grew up in the era of ending of slashers and to the beginning of supernatural stuff, My horror movies were kind of like the Friday the 13th, Freddy vs. Jason, the 2009 remakes, and of course, you have you have your supernaturals, paranormal activities and all that. That's what I'm saying. Insidious, you even had The Strangers at the time for me. But anyways, if you want to know my preference, it's going to go slasher. And the reason being is because I broke this down on the last episode in a funny way. Was, you're not going to walk into your house, right, and there's going to be a fucking piano in the middle of the fucking hallway, and it's just going to come and crush you in the head. No, it's not going to just do that. But you could walk into your house, and a man with a mischievous mask, knife, whatever you want, he can even have a plastic wrap for you, and he will try to kill you. That could happen, Let's be real. But let's pray every day it doesn't. But yeah, that's why I honestly prefer slashers, It kind of gives you that, wow, holy shit, what if that was me, So, what I want to start with is remakes versus classics. So, we're going to start off with, of course, one of my favorite iconic killers, Jason Voorhees. Honestly, guys, I don't know what the hell happened to Jason in many ways. They kind of took, a weird turn with him. From Jason X to the current Jason movie, which was, I want to say, 2009. That was actually under production. Some of the fan films are really good. But my question is, if you grew up with the classics or seen the classics, you didn't even have to grow up with them. If you've seen them, you will automatically tell there's a big difference between Jason. They kept the height, they kept the classic weapon, known as machete, the hockey mask, but they kind of changed his outfit. When you watch the classics of Friday the 13th, Jason will always have a gardener suit or some farm boy stuff on because he survived around Camp Crystal Lake. He had to make do what he can grab. He stuck with the green shirts for kind of a bit, part 3, part 4, and then part 6, but then swapped around for some moldy clothes because he was molded by then. But yeah, they give him in the remakes, they give him these jackets, these sweatshirts. They kind of look he went to northern parts of the States and he was like, man, it's chilly, I need a sweater. It's not I don't know. They took a weird approach with Jason's look, in my opinion. And then with 2009, Michael Bay's Friday the 13th, that was definitely also a weird approach, It was Jason to some degree, but at the same time, it didn't feel like him. The things he did, the way he acted. It was cool how they explained how he got around the camps really fast, but some of the kills were not Jason kills. Jason's always kind of been like a brute, not really much of a kind of strategic thinker in a way. He's had his stealth moments, and he's had his sneak attacks, but not really to where he kind of tortures you. In the 2009 movie, he kind of cooks this girl in her own sleeping bag. That's, to me, wasn't a Jason vibe. And I know to y'all that's a really cool kill, and don't get me wrong, yeah, it's a cool kill, but I don't think it matches Jason's personality. It could match more I'd have to honestly put it more Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare, because Freddy was kind of strategic in many ways, but not Jason. Jason's more of a pick you up, beat the fuck out of you, and choke you and puncture your eyes out. That to me was, it's not Jason. And, don't get me wrong, the movie's still decent in many ways. There were some weird parts where it made me question Uh, you know, but other than that, I mean, it was kind of cool to see that take on Jason in many ways, but still, when you think of Jason, you want that same brute, uh, indestructible, just kill to kill for his mother and to, I guess, stand his ground. It's his mental strategic of Camp Crystal Lake. I don't know. That's how I think of him. Camp Crystal Lake's his home. People are trespassing. It's slaughtering time. Honestly though, it seems like that did better than the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street though. CGI Freddy definitely did not hit the cup of tea. A lot of people just didn't really like him, and I can't blame him. It was kind of cool. You get to see more of like a, damn, I felt bad for him kind of way when you saw him getting chased down, but he deserved what he deserved. Like, they tried to give you like the empathy over him, and it was weird, like, we don't want empathy over Freddy. We want him to burn and then go and kill their kids. Like, so that was definitely a weird approach, especially with CGI Freddy. I mean, what happened to his nose? How did he breathe? Honestly, they could have really saved that movie if they just let Robert Englund be Freddy Krueger. And, I think why we like the old horror classics is because of the character actors. For Jason Voorhees, the most known people are Steve Dash, C.J. Graham, Kane Hodder, and then for Freddy, you just have, of course, Robert Englund. He's been there for the whole journey. Honestly though, when I think of Jason, some people, again, they think of Steve Dash, C.J. Graham. I think of Kane Hodder, and the reason being is because if you watch New Blood, he takes this movie under his own, like, in many ways. It's crazy. Like, I mean, it just trips me out because, like, there's a part where instead of rolling down the stairs, he falls flat through the stairs. Then there was the horrific scene of him being burnt alive in real life and in the movie at the same time, so that was probably horrifying, but it makes a good scene. And he's brutal. Like, he thinks very brutish. He doesn't think... it's weird to explain, but when you see Kane portray Jason and don the mask, you don't see Kane Hodder. You see Jason Voorhees. In fact, you would never believe it that was a man playing the monster. It's crazy on how good he does it. CJ Graham too. Like, they both knew how to play Jason well, to where you're like, oh wow, you can't even, like, it's hard to believe that this is a real actor. Like, this should be a true myth. And then you have, of course, like Freddy vs. Jason, the 2009 remake. That makes you feel like it's more just an actor than anything. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm not really feeling the Jason vibes here. And then, of course, with CGI Freddy, it's like, I know he's supposed to be an illusion to some people in the dream, but we didn't have to make an illusion in the movie. Speaking of other classics that also got remade recently, the new Chucky. I actually want to talk about this. I made a new Child's Play review a couple months back when it first came out. So last year when, we could all be out and dance around and not worry about COVID. Man, I miss those days. Now we just sit at home writing my journal for this apocalypse ride. No, I'm kidding. So new Chucky. I gotta say I like him. And I'm also a big Mark Hamill fan, so shame on me for saying that one, because I shouldn't... I'm a person who likes the actor more than the character sometimes, and I know that's probably wrong to think because you're supposed to really like that character more, but I can't help myself. You can see how passionate people are when they play the role, so sometimes it just blinds you. Like when you see Mark Hamill when he did Luke, when he did Joker, he was passionate about those characters, and that's, with Chucky, it seems like he brought his A game, and I thought this was cool that they took from voodoo to AIs, and I thought that was really, really awesome. I feel like whoever made this was like, well, what scares people nowadays? Not voodoo. I mean, let's be real. I mean, voodoo is not scary anymore. I mean, unless you're in New Orleans and someone comes up to you and touches your arm and they're like, oh, you're cursed now. It's like, oh, fuck. No, I'm kidding. But AIs, like, it was the number one thing talked about for the longest time. Everyone's like, oh, AI, Skynet, oh, that's going to take us all over. We're doomed. Well, you know, if you watch Maximum Overdrive, I don't think we can truly fear AIs. Oh, got a tongue tie there. AIs until the parts where they needed gas, you know, and they needed a lot of help from the humans. So truly, therefore, AIs can never take us over because they would be too independent on us. They would need us to confirm updates. They would need us to rewire them. You know, they can't rewire themselves. You know, so that's why I would never fear an AI. You know, like every time I look at my Siri, I'm like, oh, you're just a little AI that searches things for me and tells, you know, and can activate things for me. Cool. But most people look at her as a death threat. I'm like, whoa. So I guess for those people, they were trying to reach out for them. And, you know, that's really cool. What's cool is, you know, with Chucky being an AI, of course, the fear of AIs, he can control things like drones, cars, because in this realm, everything's ran by a Skynet type company, and machine controls all, basically. And it was kind of like an Alexa based situation. And I thought that was cool, you know? Like, they're like, well, fuck it. Doll's AI, he's got to do something. So, some of the kills were very creative. A lot better than the classics, but hey, I mean, it was the 80s at the time. You could really just punt the little fucker and get away. But hey, I mean, good for them for finding a way to make Chucky OP. I felt like he's been nerfed for a long time and no one wanted to admit it. No, but all jokes aside, I do like the new Child's Play a little bit better more than I like the others, especially what they did with Cult of Chucky. We will not talk about that here. And if you like Cult of Chucky, that's cool. Not one of my favorites, though. You know, and I think that's honestly been a struggle with Chucky, too, was looking at him as a doll. You know, I get it. He wasn't a doll originally. He was Charles Lee Ray, the Lakeshore Strangler, and then he puts himself in the doll. And that's really cool, you know, to shout some words and next thing you know, boom, you're in a doll. And then boom, you need to get out of this doll, but you can't unless you possess a new human body. And that's when he becomes, you know, trying to take over Andy's body through like the whole series. And I guess that was kind of interesting when you had like young Barkley versus Chucky, because, you know, a child and a doll, it's a little fair match, but an adult and a doll, I don't know, you know, because it's like, I mean, it's like the equivalence of me trying to fight a 12-foot robot. Like, I'm 6'3", so to fight a 12-foot robot, he's got inches on me, and he's metal. So, if I punch him, I'm breaking some knuckles, and then he's kicking my ass. You know, and that's the thing. Again, that's cool. But adult Andy Barkley versus Chucky, now you're just grasping straws. Because again, now it's robot versus me. Like, there's not a lot of strength there, you know? And I just, again, to see adults versus Chucky, it's weird. Because again, like I said, that robot thing I just said. But like I said, with the AIs, you're kind of more OP now. Because you got drones, you got cars you can crash, you got fucking thermostats you can cook people with. I mean, you got a lot. You can turn on, like, utility equipment. I mean, it's crazy. Power tools, all that. So that's where I like this. It makes Chucky actually kind of scary, because it's like, damn, what if you're just sitting there minding your own business and some saw comes and cut your fingers off? Like, oh, fuck, you know, you lost your fingers, you're bleeding out. So, yeah, I'd have to say remake 1, original, you know, they're still good ones. We'll call it a tie. If that makes everyone happy, we'll call it a tie. I can't point that one. Now, here's another one. Found footage versus new found footage. When we think of, like, found footage, right, nowadays, we think of Paranormal Activity. We also think of Blair Witch and the new one. And we think of so many other movies, like The Taking of Deborah Logan. Like, that's a good one. If y'all have never seen that, that is a good found footage movie. I wouldn't even... It's kind of like found footage because it's like a documentary crew. Anything where someone's shaking the fucking camera or holding it, like it's cameraman view. That's what I call it when, like, the dude's always walking around. You can see the camera bouncing up and all that, and you can see it shake when he gets scared or he throws it or it falls onto the ground. That is what I call the cameraman view, because the cameraman, you're watching it through his lens. Trying to think of, you know, here's one. I'm trying to dodge a certain one. Because I'm trying to break a curse a certain guest brought on here. I will not talk about this one movie because I'm done with it. Blair Witch. That's not the movie. This is another movie. Blair Witch, y'all. A lot of people. It's crazy how Blair Witch became like this kind of huge horror franchise when it's a bunch of college students. The movie's very slow in the beginning, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, and it's actually shocking. Because it picks up in so many ways, but it is slow in the beginning. So if something is super slow, I can't blame them, because there are some times where I've literally backed out of movies and games because they took forever. They took way too long to get started. I'm like, come on. But with Blair Witch, if you give it some time, it actually is really good. And I really, it's really good. And I truly believe that this was the spark of found footage in many different ways. People, who knows? This is what I saw, and this is what I thought was truly out there. And if you look at it, Blair Witch just got a video game last year. So, Paranormal Activity's never gotten a video game, at least that I don't know of. So, don't quote me on that. And then, like I said, new found footage, Paranormal Activity. We all think Paranormal Activity. And I think the reason being is there were so many of them. And Paranormal Activity is not bad. It's... The first one's like... The whole movie up until the end, spoilers, by the way. So, if you've never seen Paranormal Activity, back out. Well, pause, actually. Don't even back out. Pause that sweet-ass episode and then watch the movie and come back. So, spoiler alert. Paranormal Activity 1. You just watch the wife. She's kind of like slowly getting possessed. And you kind of like see like these ghosts just watch her and everything. And they, she like gets up, watches her husband throughout the night, lays back down. It's just over and over again. And then like on the last month, or the last night there on the last month, she's like, well, we need to go. And then all of a sudden you hear her get dragged out of her room, and then they go and grab her. Luckily, you think the husband gets there in time. The next morning, she's like, well, let's just stay here. And then she walks out the room at 3 a.m. You hear her scream. You see the husband go run. And then 5 seconds later, the husband comes crashing into the camera, and she crawls on top of him and like roars in his face. So, boom, there's the ending of Paranormal Activity. She was never found. The husband's body was found, all that. Paranormal Activity 2, it's about the wife's family, like side of like a cousin or it's a sister, and I guess Paranormal Activity is based around families, around this cult that follows families. It's weird to explain because not all Paranormal Activities, I think up till 3 or up till 4 was about that hunter kid and the wife from the first one. And then 5 was about a cult that helped women get pregnant. 6. Paranormal Activity 6, I'm pretty sure, is the Ghost Dimension, where they find all the tapes of all the previous Paranormal Activities and it happens to them. It's pretty trippy. There's so many of them, y'all. Some are good. But, like I said, this is what we now think of found footage, right? Because there's so many of them, and so many were good. First one, again, is slow. So if you don't mind Pacer, go ahead and watch it. It's good. But if you want to watch something and jump into gore, Paranormal Activity is probably not gonna be your taste. At least the first one. So, and then you had the Blair Witch remake. I'm shocked that no one talks about it because I honestly like that one a lot better than I like the first one. And the reason being is there was a lot more spooky action. You see tents flying. It's all of a sudden night, even though it's like 12 p.m. and they can't figure out why. And it's about... It's about the older brother. Oh, it's actually a continuation. My bad. It's not even a remake. It's actually a continuation about the first one. They try to go find the sister at the end. So scratch that. It's not even a remake. It's kind of like a new. I mean, it is and it isn't because they never called it Blair Witch 2. So I guess you'd have to say it's like a requel. You know, it's a remake sequel. But you know, it's really good. It's definitely more of a quicker pace than the first Blair Witch. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it definitely picks up, you know, and it's really crazy and good. You know, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. So if you're kind of into like witch, spiritual stuff, supernatural, Blair Witch stuff, it's up your tree. And you know, is it me? But newer horror movies try to go for supernatural, and I honestly got to say this one, I blame Insidious and the Conjuring series for success. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great movies, but I feel like because of these movies and their success on supernatural, people want to try to hop on that train. I feel like we don't get like enough slashers. Like I feel like slashers are kind of starting to make a comeback, but not really. Like I mean, I know we're having the new Halloween movies, Happy Death Day, but I mean, I kind of want, you know, something away from, I guess, I don't know, something more with like creepy looking people, not really a baby face killer. That's just my personal opinion, you know. But you know, I mean, honestly though, like I said, things just keep going more on the supernatural approach. And like I said, slashers are starting to make a comeback, but it's taking a little more time than what it should be, honestly, in my opinion. Like slashers are great. You know, slashers kind of bring like their own taste to the table because you really can't mock that chemistry in a weird way. You gotta have a solid plot. Like for Jason, it was the camp. Freddy, it was the parents who killed him. You know, Jason, of course, with his dead mother, and the campers who killed his mother. You know, and then of course Michael. It was, you know, even I can't even talk about Michael Myers because his canon is weirdly busted. Like, you know, on my previous episode, even Matt says that, you know, no one can break this canon down. Like someone had to, but I don't know, like it's weird. But anyways, for Michael, it was something. It was the mask. I've always heard people say it was his mask that made him do stuff. So I'm just gonna say it was a mask that possessed him. And if I'm wrong, my bad. But that's what I've always heard. Him and Laurie were brother and sister, and the mask possesses him to kill his family. If I'm wrong, my bad. The Halloween canon, though, shouldn't be all over the fucking place. And then for Leatherface, it was eating people to survive out in the middle of nowhere. And then, of course, Pinhead was his box. So, I mean, you know, and yeah, you know, real quick, I'm honestly going to throw Pinhead in the slasher genre. And the reason being is because he kind of attacks physically. Yeah, the box and them are kind of supernatural, but it's not like he picks you up and then, like, chokes you in midair. Like, he, you know, like a force kind of ability. He, you know, torches and, like, tries to grab you, like, physically. And that's what I think of a slasher. Someone who can, a physical being that can grab and touch you and hurt you. That is a slasher to me. And, you know, like, another thing I feel like that needs to come back too, along with slasher, is sci-fi horrors, like, Predator and Alien. Like, Predator and Alien are really good. I prefer Predator more than anything, because Predator's just cool as fuck. Alien's alright. The last Alien was really weird. Covenant, I think it was. It had, like, a good plot to it, but I don't know. It didn't. That one was all over the place. I think that needs another reshot, in my personal opinion. I feel like a lot of these newer horror movies need some reshots. I feel like everything's getting rushed, y'all. I feel like those need to come back, you know, sci-fi horror. And I feel like we also need, you know, and another thing that's kind of also dying too, zombies. I mean, wow, if you really think about it, Supernatural's tending to take over horror, guys. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of done with Supernatural. again, these are my opinions, and if you don't like them, that's okay. And if you want to talk about them, that's cool. Just try to be cool about it. Also, I apologize for my dog. They want to be co-host sometime, and they want to chat in. Thanks to my dog. Tama is his name, by the way. Thanks to my dog Tama. He's a big dog. He actually reminds me. Cujo. Cujo's a cool movie. It's a Stephen King one. Another one of my opinions. I prefer Stephen King's movies, the adaptation of Stephen King books of the movies, than his books himself. His books are kind of weird, but his movie adaptations are a lot better. Because I guess there's someone else's idea of what they read through Stephen King. They're not his directly, of course. But I do believe, though, that when people read them, they're like, hey, obviously this is what he thought, and this is what I'm getting from him, if I'm correct. And then they adapt it into a movie, and I think it's really good like that. I think those movies are cool as fuck when we take books and turn them into movies. I think that is awesome. Let's be real, the horror industry really used to be like that. Hell, if you even think about it, like, even the game series is like that, like Witcher. Witcher was originally a book, then it was a game, and now it's a TV series. Like, I don't know, comics, superheroes again, comics, movies, cheesy 80s shows, and then now video games. So I really like when people do that kind of stuff, because it's like, this is how they felt, and this is what they felt that the protagonist and the antagonist could bring to the table, and I thought that was cool. We're starting to get a little off topic there. Reel it back in. But you know what I really, really like is like Creepshow stuff and Trick or Treat, like how it's all like different, like many tales, I guess you'd have to say. It's like mini tales in one movie, you get like 3 different little mini movies in one. So I think that's really cool, like I like how Trick or Treat kind of intertwines with everything. It's all connected, Sam, the killer principal, to Little Red Riding Hood and all that. I thought that was really cool. And the bus full of kids, I think that's really awesome, that kind of stuff. And Creepshow kind of had like intertwinings of some things as well. That's really awesome. I really like that, to be like that. So I feel like we don't get enough of that anymore. Speaking of kind of stuff like that, what was a weird horror movie that never freaked me out, but I kind of just enjoyed watching? Leprechaun. I watched the newest one a few months back, and yeah, it did a lot better than After 2. I will say. After 2, it kind of took some weird places, but then it kind of got back on track with the latest one. So that's definitely an old classic. I guess you can sit down and watch. Versus the new. I guess I'm gonna have to tie those two together because those are both great. Again, 1 and 2 only. After that, no. Please, no. Let's not put things in space ever again. Things tend to die in space. I don't think we've accepted this yet as humans, but things really do tend to die in space. Friday the 13th ended on X, space. Leprechaun, space. Yeah, 2 franchises we lost to space, because, nothing can survive out in space. Little joke. But, honestly, though, I think I'd rather watch a remake that I didn't really care much for than I'd watch a movie in space. Am I not wrong for that one? No, but honestly, I'm glad I really got to talk about this. I've been wanting to talk about it for so long. I think this really needed to be brought up. If you want to tell me your opinions on this and what you like, please do. I'm always out there to listen, and I want to get y'all's ideas. Like I said, I prefer the classics because I like slashers, and I feel like slashers are slowly trying to make their comeback, but they're still not quite there, unfortunately. And so, that's really a bummer, but nothing we can do, All we can do is hope that someone's out there like, hey, I want to make a slasher movie. I'm like, hey, I'm going to review that movie and watch that movie. Nah, but each horror movie brings their own taste to the table, and I'm always going to watch and enjoy them no matter what. Slasher, supernatural, cosmic, sci-fi, you name it. I'm always gonna love it. But that is all for today, and always thank you for tuning into The Lane Shift, where things get freaky and geeky. Also, don't forget, The Lane Shift has a freak and geek shop. So it's on Designed by Humans. So if you want to rock the Lane Shift merch, like I rock the mic, please always feel free. You know, we got some cool designs on there. We got my current logo, and then one made by a friend out of general niceness. Or kindness. That's more of a better word. Doy. Out of the kindness of his heart, he made me a logo on there that I thought was really cool. It's got like a bloody font, and it's got like, you know, it's got some cool stuff. It's got the Lane Shift mask, which is half Jason, half Master Chief, which it's a cool little mask. It was a custom made mask from 13X Studios, and if you want a Jason mask, check him out. He's also stellar. But like I said, that is all for today. Thank you for tuning in to The Lane Shift. I'll see you next one.